Welcome, everybody, to the Movie Mechanics podcast. I am Sam, the movie mechanic, and today I have the absolute pleasure of speaking with comedian, actor, voice actor, Charles Fleischer.
Hey, how you doing? I'm a quantum mechanic.
Yeah, you're a quantum mechanic. You know, that's interesting you bring that up. I saw your TED Talk about moleeds, and there was a lot of quantum mechanics or quantum mechanics adjacent stuff going on there.
Well, I am, in addition to the things that you mentioned, I am a scientist.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, I'm part artist, part scientist. So the artist part of me wakes up and goes, wow, what a beautiful day. And the scientist part says, yes, but how does it work?
Yeah.
I've always been fascinated by science. I've always found scientists were like the real rock stars of time and space. I've always been inspired by science and always sought to make discoveries. I have invented a device that measures the golden ratio. I have a patent on it. I have my Moleeds theorem, which is, to simplify it, I have a method for taking any prime number and revealing how it creates a system that is symmetrical, which involves whatever the prime number is, let's say 37, that's the main Moled prime number. It will then divide those numbers from 1 to 36 into pairs, which equal to the prime. So 1 and 36, 2 and 35, 3 and 34. So every prime number develops a symmetrical Moled system that creates pairs which add up to the prime.
Where did that name come from, moleeds?
It just came to me. And then later I was talking to this rabbi, and he was saying that there's a Hebrew word yalid, which means to cause to be born. So, and moled in Hebrew is mem lamed daleth, which numerically is 74, which is 2 times 37. So, I'm hooked into something, I'm not saying it's accurate or inaccurate or an Acura or a Lexus or any kind of, text me to get to Texas. Text me to get to Texas if you're driving in your Lexus, and I can be some American day. Hey, schmaddle.
That's so fascinating. I did, my undergraduate was in mathematics. So I spent a lot of time with people.
Really, what field?
So I generally did discrete mathematics, but I also did some continuous mathematics.
Yeah, do you know the Euler constant, the e to the I pi plus 1 equals 0? You familiar with that?
E to the I pi is -1, right?
E to the I pi plus 1 equals 0.
Yes, that's right.
Good work. Already by saying that, that's like a secret word to open up my heart and part of my soul.
Oh, really?
Know that? Are you kidding me? Man, that's just like, that does it for me. E to the I pi, and you even say, well, I'm e to the I pi -1. Yeah, that's right. Plus 1 is 0. Fuck, man. Rock on. I'll tell you anything now.
Well, fantastic. I love it.
On.
So I was watching this TED Talk you did about the moleeds, and it seemed like you were both honoring and lampooning the field that you were discussing. So is there a secret to kind of crafting a parody in a way that entertains without offending?
Well, that's an interpretation. My intention was not a parody at all. My intention was just to create comedy. I have a huge reverence. There were a lot of people that thought I was doing like a spoof of a TED Talk, like a Garrett Lisi TED Talk or something. But that was not the case. I was just presenting my own theory comedically. So there was no spoofing. I mean, just because I do jokes about Euler or something doesn't mean I'm spoofing him. I'm really, it just creates the content for my comedy.
Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't, I mean, clearly in our discussions already, of the moleeds and where they come from, how they arise and how you're constructing the system. Clearly that part of it was very serious. But there was a lot of laughter. There was a lot of
Well,
fun.
yeah, I'm a comedian, so
Yeah.
I go for laughs, you know, five sacred salads, you know, it's just the head, all of those things. I find that you can give someone information more readily if you make them laugh. It's kind of like knowing eat the eye pie. You know, if you can break them down a little bit, they'll open up. And making someone laugh is it's pleasurable. You know, it's like another. If you give somebody an orgasm, same thing, but that's more difficult in a group.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure that's the case. I've never had to try to do a group orgasm. It's only ever been one-on-one with
Oh,
me.
let me give you an address. But first, you have to be cleared through security. Now, you know what gamma ray bursts are?
Tell me about it.
Well, do you know what they are? Gamma ray bursts.
Yeah, so it's bursts of radiations that come from celestial bodies, generally black holes, and other sorts of.
Well, where they emanate from is the question that has never been succinctly proven. And do they come from our galaxy?
I don't know.
Well, then, no, they don't. They first were discovered in the 60s. They sent up the Vela satellites to determine whether it was Russia was testing bombs, atomic bombs on the moon. They thought maybe they were. So they sent up these satellites with these scintillating crystal fibers to see if the, gamma radiation was coming off. And they saw these bursts of gamma rays coming from outer space. After a while, they determined they weren't even coming from our galaxy. And I have a whole paper I've written about the origin of them and whether they are random or not.
So what's the takeaway?
They are not random.
They're not random. They're periodic.
Something could be periodic, I suspect, and still have some aspect of randomness. However, it is it's not really the periodic aspect of them that nullifies the randomness. It's things like being equidistant, having similar angles. For my paper, I connected a series of 8 gamma ray bursts, sequential ones with lines. Then I measured the angles created by connecting 8 sequential gamma ray bursts, which I call an OG, which relates to Finnegan's Wake, which relates to James Joyce and to Murray Gell-Mann and to quarks. Okay. So if they were truly random, the angles formed would go from 0 to 180, but they consistently skew smaller. When I first turned my paper in to get it on the Cornell website, it needs to be sponsored by someone who says this is legitimate or whatever. And the guy who, professor of astrophysics, said that, you're taking 3-dimensional data and you're interpreting it in 2 dimensions. So you need to incorporate probability distribution function.
Okay.
So I had to redo my paper to incorporate that. And, and that's on the Cornell site. And since then, I've made additional discoveries, and I'm working with somebody now to use Python. You familiar with that program?
Yes.
To create new understandings of this data, which, if one were to compare it to the Rosetta Stone, which was translated successfully, the first indication to me is that they're not random, which says, hey, this is something that has intelligence behind it, and there's something here. As to translating it, what does it mean? That's who knows how long that'll take, or
yeah.
But I want to get the ball rolling.
And it would, if you translate it and it says something like send nudes, like we'd know.
Well, we already know that. The whole reason that guys do things is to impress their spouses, whether they be men or women. I don't care what you love as long as it's not children and you clean up afterwards.
Fair enough.
But it's like, honey, you know what, honey, look at what we sent out today. We sent little things, the voyage. Look at that up there. Like, what do you do today? We figured out the way to communicate with future intelligence. We are going to use gamma ray bursts and have their location kind of be like a cosmic Morse code. And eventually they'll see it. The quasars compared to gamma ray bursts. Gamma ray bursts are 4 times more likely to pass through another galaxy before they get here than quasars. They have no reason why that would be. My hypothesis is, let's just say they are intended for communication. They would want to head for the galaxy because that's where, that's where the life is at. Where the action is, man. Take me to the galaxy. Chronos.
Yeah. So far, we're the only life that we know of, right?
Well, speak for yourself.
Oh, you've met somebody else. You met some extraterrestrials.
Well, there's ultra terrestrials too.
Ultra terrestrials. Explain that a little bit.
I cannot.
No, it's okay. I don't have my
ultra terrestrials. I something I made up, but I like the way it feels.
We'll have to check out the paper or maybe another TED Talk on that one. So are there any other big mathematical concepts you're wrestling with right now?
Well, I'm trying to figure out how to get salad into my house. I have a giant head of lettuce, about 40 miles diameter, and I can't freeze it because you can't freeze lettuce.
You
can freeze it, but it will no longer be an edible delicacy. It's one of the few vegetables that will not succumb to freezing. But what can you do? I'm very non-sequential in my works right now. Here, let me get up for a second. Follow me, will you? What?
Yes, there we go.
You foolish crack bog. Right now, I'm working on writing something, but I just finished artwork is one of my passions too. There's one of my pieces.
It's beautiful. I like the spiral. There's a lot of spirals going on here.
It's called The Secret Spiral is Outside of Time.
It's beautiful.
So, and these are all available at my website. That's called Strange Family. My website, charles-fleischer.com. I just put that website up and I have my prints on it. On that, my titles are very important to me. That's called Jelly on a White Violin. I like to have my titles be completely non-related to the image, although sometimes they are. For instance, this one is called Museum of Self-Reflection. It took over 3 years. Wow. Every painting in the museum is of the museum at another time. And the paintings within the paintings have paintings in them. Kind of a Escher homage, if one were to say, yeah.
That's very fourth dimensional of you.
Well, it's very quasi-azabato. And that's called Zappa's Zircon Zipper.
I love that.
A song called Zircon Encrusted Tweezers. And I always like Zappa quite a bit. So that's a new thing for me, which I promote because it's, commerce is part of it, but hey, people don't have to buy, just, to share, because art is, it's very mystical. You look at something and it either hits you or not.
Absolutely, yeah.
That piece behind me, that's, you recognize that?
Yeah, it looks very Picasso-esque.
It is Picasso.
Yeah. Is that the original?
If it was the original, I wouldn't be speaking with you. I'd be on my yacht somewhere or living through a lavish garden, drinking an exotic beverage, deciding whether Camille or Mushundra would give me my afternoon foot massage.
Well, you'll have to forgive my ignorance. I spent a lot of my time studying math and didn't get into a lot of museums.
I love math and art. To me, they are all part of my passion. If that had Picasso's name on the bottom, it would be considered a forgery, but it is just a copy, but it's an exact copy.
That's wonderful. It's beautiful. What is it called?
I couldn't afford a real Picasso, so.
Yeah, they're gonna be quite expensive.
So
Well,
go ahead. Your next question is, let me see if I can guess. Something to do with peninsulas and the relationship to the word penis.
yeah, okay. No, that's great. Let's explore that.
Well, I don't think you want to explore it in great depth, or depending on
Why
how
why
deep you
is
go.
it that every time I go to the gym, there are old guys there naked all the time? That's a good question.
Well, I think they see you coming.
Why is it that
And,
men of a certain age just want to be naked in the gym locker room all the
well, I have one suggestion for you. Find another gym.
time? And I have stopped going to the gym because every time I do, that's
That's
the
not a
problem.
gym. I think it's a senior citizen colony. I think you should select a gym that where you don't see people. And this is actually working on in the floor in the sauna, or not
So
on the machines, certainly.
so
Hey,
so every
kid.
time I would go, every time I used to go, I work out at home exclusively now. But before, when I was working out at the gym, whether it was at my university or at a LA Fitness or whatever, there's always a group of elderly gentlemen there, just letting it all hang out, and they've got
But
their
on
maybe
the
their
floor,
legs
on the
up in the bed.
exercise floor, or in the locker room, where is this taking place?
It's in the locker room.
Well, the locker room. Well, yeah, that's where you get dressed and undressed. What do you expect? If the cocks are out when they're lifting weights, that's another issue.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
ancient Greece.
that's like curl. Hey, can you curl this? Wow, look at that. That's curling enough for me. Well, it's called the locker room. That's where you get undressed, you shower, you do the thing. I think you're spending too much time in the locker room. I say shower at home, buddy.
That's a good, okay. Yeah, good advice. Yeah.
Shower at home. The Landra Casala. Um, but as I said, I go through different cycles. Right now, I'm really focused on completing a book of short stories I've been working on for a while.
Oh.
So when I wake up, that's the first thing I do. I just hit that. I'm taking a break now to do this with you.
So is there a theme that your stories are kind of centered around, or does it jump around?
Oh, I wouldn't say there's a central theme. The theme is it's called Out of My Mind. So they're just stories that I made up.
That's great.
It's pretty good. I'm very excited about it because I'm working on it. I started them 20 years ago, and I was going to publish them. I gave them to someone to edit them, and the editing, they just they didn't do anything really. They took out a passage about marijuana, and that was their editing. And then I was reading over them, and I was going, I got to rewrite this. And then once I did that to a couple of them and reached another level, I did it. I'm doing it to all of them to enhance them. And it's interesting because when I started them, my perspective was at a certain place and my skill set was a certain place.
Mhm.
So that created a basis for me to come back and redo. It's a process of redoing. Even now, you start something and you think, well, that's really good. The next day, look at it. Not really. But it does take me to the place that'll allow me to get to the next place, and then just keep writing a scaffolding and climb it down, turn it around. Next thing you know, hey, publish that, will you, Frank?
Yeah, I had a professor who said that there's no such thing as good writing, only good rewriting. And maybe she
But
ripped that off from
writing is
somebody else.
rewriting. A blank page doesn't write itself. Yeah, you gotta. Every now and then, I think things just pop out.
Yeah, that's
Time
true.
takes everything, and everything takes time. That kind of thing. This meeting has been upgraded by the host and includes unlimited minutes. Okay, nice.
Lucky us.
Lucky us, and I see luck.
Okay, so let's see. Between your stand-up and your acting, you've been making people laugh for many, many years. When you need a laugh, do you go dig up past jokes? Do you find someone else's material? Do you create new material for yourself? Where does
That's interesting. When I need a laugh, I think everyone needs a laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
when you need a sandwich, when you need to take a dump, certain needs are more pressing. I find I make myself laugh. It's not like, oh, I need a laugh, I'm gonna make myself laugh, but I entertain myself, and I enjoy being entertained. There's a lot of places you can go and watch things that are funny. Chappelle has a new special.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's caused a lot of controversy these days.
It's always going to be that way. There's always going to be people that don't get it. It's just the way life is, Hey,
That's true.
life is like that. It's crazy, Hey, I don't understand. You're not supposed to.
That sounds like Rodney Dangerfield.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about, Rodney. I did a movie with Rodney, The Fourth Tenor, Yeah, I was in Las Vegas. I was in Tahoe. I get a call. And, it's Rodney, I got this little movie I'm doing. I want you to do a part. Come by the apartment and give you a script. And you know anything about Rodney? He was famous for just hanging around his house, just wearing a bathrobe. So I get there and his testicles are just descending, clearly visible, and
that's what I was just talking about.
it made me want to have tea.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha.
Right here in Testicle City with a capital T, and that rhymes with he, and that stands for tool. Yeah, that's that was wrong. Yeah, doing voices is an interesting concept, conduit, not. If you have been born in England, you'd have an English accent, right? You talk that way, but I don't know if you can do an English accent or not.
Did you want me to audition for one right now?
Okay, you can try it. I'd like to hear one, or any accent, Southern New York, you pick a place. So here's my theory. I don't want to put you on a pressure spot unless you want to show off.
Oh, there's a show my wife really likes called The Last Kingdom. And the main character has kind of a unique accent. He's supposed to be Saxon and Dane. And he says things like, you and I are destined to be together to win this battle. He talks like that.
Saxon and Dane. Nice. If you try to breathe and swallow at the same time, you won't be able to do it.
That's true. That's true.
But when you are an infant, you can do it. You need to do it to suckle your mother's milk. You have to be able to breathe while you're on the teat, on the nipple, on the taklahashan. So there's a cutoff mechanism that takes place at a certain point in the development of a mammal. Let's just stick with humans, where that switch turns off, and then you can no longer breathe and swallow at the same time. So my theory is, just as you have an accent that's similar to the people around you, we take a vocal imprint when we're young, and that determines the way we speak. Certain people, actors and so on, then that switch never turns off. So it can continue, hearing things and doing them and imprint vocally. Just a theory. I don't have any proof on that. I've written no papers on that or anything, but just being a human is fascinating. It's just so many things about it. We have hands and we have dreams and language. Some people think language was a virus, that it was some kind of virus that infected people and gave them ideas for language. Who knows? All kind of things people come up with. They don't really know much about anything other than whether we're hungry or not. You gotta eat.
That's true. You talk about doing accents. I was enamored with this German actor. Maybe you've heard of him, Flula Borg. And he does these little sketches on his YouTube channel where he tries to interpret or understand an idiom, an expression.
Who are you calling an idiom? It's not a slighten. He is not an idiom. He's just slow. Idiot. No, idiom, like, metaphor, simile. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So I started trying to do the German accent. And I was meeting with some clients and they were German and they did not appreciate my German accent and they fired me.
Well,
It must have been really bad.
they probably weren't real enthused. But you know, if people know you're putting on an accent, they may be more offended. But if they think it's authentic, when a couple times I went to England, and I was the assistant, lots of different, further north you go, it's more nasal, or just West End or whatever you do it. And if they think you're American doing it, they'll be, oh, fuck off, wanker. Well, if just do it, they don't know. It's, oh, what? So, there's an innate prejudice that exists if we must to segregate the trust from the issue that we bust. You know what I'm saying? Yo, real time, flow it, know it. You don't got to show it.
That's
I can
excellent.
appreciate it. I can incubate it. I can validate it. I can educate it, but you can't X-rate it, rated X, X-lated, modified. Oh.
Fantastic. Thank you for freestyling right here, unprompted. That was amazing. Oh, thank you.
Well, unprompted. The prompt is called Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah. Part of entertaining yourself, I suppose.
Well, you can suppose, but don't sup a hash. Well, never mind. Supposition, suppose. If you pose for me, I suppose you won't. If you dance in the dark, you'll maybe get a bone. A bone and don't a lot of do. I got the place, and so do you. So
fantastic. Just bouncing all over the place. I love it.
What I do, now free flow, I go, don't question it, just jump and find your parachute on the way down. That way you'll discover things you would not if you stayed on the ground.
Yeah, fantastic. I think we started this interview at the deep end. I had planned it to start at a shallow end and it just went straight to the deep end, which I love.
Well, if one thinks of the word shallow, it implies not a lot of depth. And certainly one wants something with depth. Otherwise, it's just shallow, has no meaning. Shallow, origin of the word shallow, from the Latin shall be deeper. I don't know, shallow. Quickly Google it. Google, what's the origin of the word shallow? Shallow is from the Latin word shallow totus, meaning motherfucker ain't thinking. What? Man.
Your Siri needs an update, I think. But the shallow end was about Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Shallow word origin. Go ahead.
And
here is information from Wikipedia.
See, this is funny. They gave me Shiloh, not shallow.
I know.
Shiloh is a biblical place, but that's interesting by, the fact that came up and not shallow. Somebody's playing with the wrong keyboard. Sloppy monkeys.
So one of the things that's fascinating to me about the production process is how different things look on one side of the camera versus on the other. And with Roger Rabbit, there's obviously the animation studio going on and how things look in the voice studio versus.
By the way, shallow is pretty close, like shoal as not deep.
Right.
So my extrapolation of just, freestyle and making it up on the spot was pretty darn close. So you're asking about Roger Rabbit in relation to other animated films that were three-dimensional, or in relation to?
Well, what I'm specifically asking is, when you're in the studio recording your voice and you're in the production process, do you have any inkling or understanding about what projects, or even Roger Rabbit specifically, that are going to become cultural phenomena, or is it just
okay, sure. I think that's a valid question for any endeavor one partakes upon. My voice was recorded live on the set every day. You may or may not know that.
I didn't know.
Yeah, they even I had to make me a costume that I wore every day, which was part of a way I didn't want everybody to like, go on. He's wearing St. Corduroy trousers. So, when you go to the set, usually you wear a costume, and Bob Hoskins thanked me for it. And some people at Bournemouth Elstree Studios, they were doing Superman at the time. They saw me in the commissary and they say, don't think Roger Rabbit's going to be very good. We saw the girl playing the rabbit. He don't look anything like a rabbit. Some things you think they'll be good, something, but with that, I had a really strong feeling that it was going to be a game changer. Part of that is Bob Zemeckis, the director. Part of that is Richard Williams, the director of animation. Steven Spielberg, executive producer. Combination of Disney and Amblin. I mean, it had all the earmarks of a pedigree situation. However, that doesn't always work. Look at like Ishtar. That was not a super duper successful movie. Ishtar, Warren Beatty, Dustin Hoffman, directed by Elaine May, Mike Nichols and Elaine May. Mike Nichols, who directed The Graduate. You know what I'm saying? Everything's related. Everything's connected. Yeah. But so your question basically is, how do you know? And you never know.
Just
how do you know, like when you first met your wife? How long have you been married?
16 years.
16 years. Okay. When you first met her, how did you know? How did you know? Like, wow, is this the one?
She kissed better than anybody I ever kissed. So I was like, I've got to make this happen.
Well, that doesn't really say that much. I mean, you could have just like kissed like, mutant dwarves, Oh, kiss this. Boy, this girl, she don't have slobber in her mouth or no pebbles, don't smell fishy. I'm going to marry her. But all you've done is kiss the mutant dwarves. Well, someone has to kiss them. They're cute if you get them to brush up. Okay, besides kissing, you hedonist bastard.
Well, I was young. I was young at the time.
You're still young, you chromosomal mutated flapperbog. But you get my point. It's there's things that indicate that, like, but hypothetically, you could have. There's a lot of good kissers. I would say there's a lot of women that kiss really good, and who may have just been, like slutty boudoirs. Like a wife, there's something more than the way she kissed. But the point is, like, how did you know, besides the physical kissing thing? It's perhaps you don't even know how to express it. Some things are just good. It's emotional. Yeah, it's good. It's like this, if we want to make it scientific, you could say her DNA and your DNA, there's a certain vibratory pattern to it, a fingerprint, if one would. Edison, his patent for the light bulb, talks about how the coil of was just carbonized cotton in those days, but let's say the tungsten coil provides a resistance to the flow of electricity, and illumination is the result. So hypothetically, your DNA double helix provides a resistance to this energy soup that we're immersed in, and the life that we emanate is the result. So if you were to reduce your DNA to some sort of code, a numerical function, and your wife's, you could see that, like, oh, look, there are harmonies there. There are overlaps. You can see other ones that are just discordant. Do you play music at all?
A little bit.
What does that mean? A little bit, like two notes? What does that mean? A little bit?
Well, I sing primarily.
Do you play any instruments?
I have played guitar and I have played piano in the past.
Okay, so the 1 to 5,
That's right.
C to G. That sounds really good. So, or like the tritone, the C to F sharp, that's like discordant. So some people are like 1 to 5s, and some are tritones.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just an analogy. I think analogies are helpful tools for understanding constructs and concepts and conduits and condescending condiments that help you catch up and keep you turd.
That's like, you've got a million of these little,
Why a million? Why, that's an insult.
Constructed
I have at
together.
least a million. I could tell you a million tomorrow, a million too. Why infinity? That's just a concept, you know. Is infinity something that's applied to what? To quantity or to size? I say infinity only applies to quantity. Size is limited by certain things. Why? What about the universe? What do you think? Is the universe infinite or finite? Your answer, please. What do you think?
Finite.
I agree. I agree. So what do you think happens when you get to the edge of the universe? What happens?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know what's.
That's a, you know, that's a question. You tell me it's a great question. Answer the question, motherfucker. Don't tell me it's a good question.
I think
Would
there's
you
a. I think there's a
on the
wall.
other side.
I think there's a wall.
Well,
You need a wall.
I don't think it's a wall. I think that you would go there and then you show up over here.
Somewhere else, not necessarily on the opposite side, but somewhere
Now,
else.
To extrapolate upon that, the universe is finite. I agree, because infinity applies to quantity, not size. But to boggle the mind even further, the universe is finite. However, there are an infinite number of finite universes. Yeah.
Countable or uncountable?
Well, infinite will be uncountable because there's always one more.
Yeah, there's a concept in mathematics of sizes of infinities, cardinalities of infinities, right? So you can have on a basic level countably infinite, in which there's a function that maps the natural numbers onto your set. And then you can have uncountably infinite, which is like the real number line, where no matter how many items you pull out, there's still an infinite number of items in between.
Well, Cantor, you know Cantor?
Cantor, yep.
Right, okay. He said that whole numbers and real numbers, they're both infinite, yet one group is larger than the other. And that freaked people out.
Yeah.
There was that led me to the understanding that the universe is finite, however, there's an infinite number of them. And he was disregarded by other scientists and mathematicians for quite a while.
That's right.
Like he flipped out and they said, well, Cantor was right. But yeah, mathematics and science are just, I think you're probably the first host I've spoken with that had an affinity for infinity, if one may be so bold to say that, you know, it all adds up, but it's more fun to multiply.
Yeah, amen to that. I have 7 kids, so amen to that.
7?
7, yeah.
Damn, bro. 7 kids. Well, 7 is a nice prime number associated with things mystical. And the number 1001, a palindrome, which is interesting. You know, it's 10 backwards, 10, 1001 things to do, 1001 Arabian Nights, right? Is you can get 1001 by factoring 3 consecutive primes. 7 times 11 times 13 equals 1001.
Yeah.
Mr. Fuller, who I love, Bucky, great mind, he said that he thought that the ancient mathematical guys were aware that 7 times 11 times 13 equals 1001. So they outlawed the use of the number 13 to prevent just the regular dudes from, like, you know, jumping in on that fun equation. And we still have that vestigial effect today. You know, you go to a building and it goes from the 12th floor to the 14th floor.
Yeah.
Just like people on the 14th floor are like, no, it says 14. No, but there's no space between them. It's the 13th floor. They just named it incorrectly. No, 13 is not lucky. It's 14. You're right, 14 floor days.
Yeah, it's true. That's the case in all office buildings. They all skip 13.
Oftentimes rows in airplanes, operating rooms. However, in certain cultures, 13 is not considered unlucky. And Hebrew, 13 is a good number. And 4 is considered unlucky in some realms. You know, It all depends what's happening when it happened. You know, we associate things. You know, if you were let's say the first time you made love with somebody, there was an earthquake right after it. You meant, don't do that again. No, I don't want that to happen again. That'll be the end of the species, more than likely. But
Lucky for me, I don't have those kinds of superstitions.
looking for your children as well.
You're right.
You know, obviously there's no earthquakes around you, except maybe you and the wifey. Oh, baby!
Oh!
Number 6, here we go. Number 7, number 3, come on, clean your room.
Well, Charles, thank you so much for the time you've taken today. I appreciate this conversation. I don't get to spend a lot of time talking math with anybody else either. Right? That hardly ever happens for me. Last time I talked math with somebody was at a convention, and he was there as part of an astronomical society. And then he started talking to me about factoring prime numbers. And I was like, this guy's dangerous. He wants to steal all the credit card numbers in New York City. He's out here factoring prime so he could get rich off other people's credit cards.
Yeah, that's RSL. I think, you know,
The
that-
protocol.
yeah. Is that right? RSL?
RSA. Yeah, I think so.
RSA.
RSA, yes, that's it.
Yeah, RSA. I knew the A. I don't know. I met him. He was he got all the money. He basically just, you know, went over them. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Okay. We'll give him some money. RSA. Yeah, and there's another thing you don't talk about too much. Yeah, prime numbers, moleads. It's all a beautiful thing. Well, I appreciate this. Plug my website, charles-fleischer.com. You know, put a little chirons liberty do. The people know that's there, so they can access me and see my artwork. Got a lot, 83 different pieces up there. They don't have to buy anything. Just, you know, it's just a way to share visions from the secret spiral.
I love it.
You should, because it loves you.
Very good. Thank you so much from everybody here at the Movie Mechanics. Thank you for your time today. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment with your favorite mathematical insight, theorem, whatever subject got you hung up in school. Just let us know. And
Or not. Or you maybe there's some people like myself. Hold on. Hello? Euler, I gotta call you back. I can't do it now. Franklin? No, I'm in the hot. For me, I did really poorly in math. I'd have a tutor in algebra, 5M, what's that? But geometry, I could see that. So all of my mathematical endeavors involve taking data and making it visual. That's the signal that I got to get off the line. I'm expecting Euler to show up and bring me some statistical papers. Thank you very much. God bless.
thank you.